Hey everyone, today I'm going to teach you how I like to paint a face. Without further ado, let's just jump right into it. In front of me I have Pastel Dreams. Out of Pastel Dreams, I like using number 41 and 40 and 47. These are the base layers I like to lay down because of their pastel colors and because they're easier to cover up with my subsequent layers. Next I have number 37 and number 38. With these colors, they're brown, but they have a yellow undertone, which makes great for mixing skin colors. Next up, we're gonna have Decadent Pies. Out of Decadent Pies, I use a couple colors. I use number 31, number 33, and number 29. These colors I don't use as often as the ones from the pastel palette. They're kind of more for shading things. Out of Essence, kind of also shading colors, I like to use Emotion, not a lot though, and Awake for those really darker areas. And occasionally number 98, but we don't really talk about number 98 that much. Finally, I have my remaining equipment. Without further ado, let us get started. Right now I'm just laying down some of those pastel colors as the first layer. I'm kind of keeping an eye on where I want the shadows to be and where I want more of the redness of the face to come out. In the end, I kind of don't stick to that, which I wish I kind of did. Generally, I kind of cover everything first and then go detailed into certain areas, but I jump around a lot, and I'm trying to fix that. Not saying that my way of painting is the correct way or the worst way to do things. It would have been better if I pre-mixed all of my paints before and then went in with everything so that I knew what the value was going to be throughout the entire painting instead of trying to guess what color I was painting on one side and then just messing it up on the other side. But nonetheless, this is the way that it goes. I sometimes make 7 layers in order to get the exact color that I want, and it can be tedious. I'm trying to work on that to make myself better and more efficient as an artist, though I guess along the way you have to take baby steps. And the next layers I'm kind of putting in on that pink and the yellow and the brownish yellowish colors that I saw in the pastel palette. Eventually, I will try and blend these in to make a solid skin color. Right now it's kind of looking too flat and a little too dark in some areas, to be honest. So on top you'll see me layer on lots of white after white and try and blend in those shadowed areas into the rest of the face to make it look more softer rather than really sharp. So sometimes it does smudge it up a bit because, once again, it's better if I had the colors pre-made, otherwise I wouldn't have made a muck of things. Here we're gonna zoom in a bit. This time I'm focusing on the eye. I kind of jump around away from the eye a lot, and sometimes I do lay down some colors that I do regret laying down. But that's the process of learning. I don't normally paint faces this close up. It's mostly like smaller and then the rest of the body or some sort of background surrounding area, or just black. Sometimes I just like a full black background. But in this case I want to take extra care in the details of showing the face. And that's kind of what made it a bit challenging, because in some phases I see it in places I like, but then I mess it up with more layers of paint because I feel like it's not good enough. Another mistake I do end up making, especially around the eye area, is kind of losing the shape of the eye that I was going for in the first place. I do make it a little too thin, a little too elongated, and the lashes a little too long. That covers pretty much half the eye, which no one does. But nonetheless, I attempt to fix it later on, and oh boy, I made a lot of mistakes before I got exactly where I wanted it to be. And right here is a great example of what I meant by layering on a bunch of paint at once, especially the white paint, to bring out the colors that I thought I lost, or I did lose actually. It's not that I thought I lost them. I take more care around the mouth, mainly because that's the area I actually have the most difficulty with. That and the nose. Those are the two places that if you ask me to do that on one go, I will not be able to do it. Because I just keep layering on paint until I feel like, oh, that shape's not right. And then I try and fix it again with more layers of paint, but then it mixes in with the under layers of the paint, so the paint actually dries in a color that I didn't expect, and it's a whole process. But in the end, I do end up trying to fix things with more of my colors and my shadows. My white is my savior, which is why I got kind of a larger tube of the Winsor Newton Permanent White to really make sure that things look exactly the way I want them to in the end. And at this point, that's when I realized I should probably stop touching the nose. And you know what? The nose looks pretty good, Sarah. Why would you touch the nose? There's no reason to touch the nose, right? And you know, that's when I realized that I had fucked it up. So I kept moving forward, pushing forward with the painting, even though I clearly see that the nose is way too small now, and the nostrils look completely out of place, and, well, what can I say? That's what I'm good at, messing things up and then fixing them again eventually. And this is part of the painting process that most artists, I don't know if most artists, but especially me, I don't really like showing it on my Instagram and stuff because it makes me look incompetent. But in the end, I fix it with some more layers, and that's just the process of how art goes. I can't speak for every artist, but for myself, I make a lot of these mistakes. And here I am, working on the eye I neglected so long ago that I should have worked on. And you know what? That eye was a reminder of something worse. Oh heck yeah, I lost the footage, so we're jumping ahead. I finished that eye. Now you can see the real true skin tone I'm trying to go for come out with the multiple layers of white once I have both sides of the face actually matching in the flesh tone that I want, which is more of that usual flesh tone you actually see and not some pastel pink and blue that I start out with. But quickly I start to realize I may have layered on too much white. What? What's that? There's a such thing? Because at this point she was starting to look like a freaking cake. Oh, and a quick, ooh. I don't even want to zoom in on that eye. That's pretty bad. See, I don't even know if I should leave this audio in. I'm so disappointed in myself. I fixed it, kind of. It still looks pretty freaking bad. Alright, now that I've calmed myself, we're back. I'm clearly adding some more white still, and the lashes are looking pretty poppin'. I did go a little bit too harsh on the white on the lips there. Things to think about for the future. You know what? The eyes are looking pretty good now, Sarah, and you probably shouldn't touch them. But oh, what are you doing? Don't do it! But I did it. Oh, yeah, I did it. I added that gray, and it was a bad decision what I was attempting to go for here. Let me try and redeem myself. I was trying to make it look like the lashes were thicker and more out, like a solid layer. I saw it in some artwork before. I'm sorry, I can't recall the artist, but it looks so dang cool and I wanted to try it out. And in the end, it ended up looking like a muck for me. And I'm pretty sure the face should have been bigger in order for me to even attempt such a thing, or my brushes should have been infinitely smaller. But nonetheless, I attempted it. I failed. I put the black back in. That is why we enjoy jet black, everybody. It just covers things up right then and there. I could have used acrylic gouache even, but in the end I still stuck with my regular designer's gouache. And at this point, I'm mostly adding in the hair so I can get a framework for what I'm working with, because at this point I'm realizing that working on just the face isn't getting me anywhere. I'm not having a foundation, I'm not seeing how the colors will match up with the hair in the end. So I decide, why not just paint in the hair and see how it looks, and decide to tweak in those like fine little shadows here and there as I go on. Now hair, I will talk about a little bit. With hair I don't have to do that much. I mostly just lay down a base layer and then add in more streaks of color as I go, which gives the illusion of strands or sections of hair. And that's the easiest way I find to do it, is to just go ahead and do it on that solid first layer that I put down, whether it be black or burgundy or whatever hair color I desire that day. Now, I want to take a moment to jump back in here and say that I've effectively made her face a balloon, and I deeply regret everything. So if you excuse me, we're just gonna skip. Yeah, we're just. Oh gosh, she's looking as polished as a Barbie. Are Barbies polished? And oh gosh, dear lordy, here she comes. She's looking as glowy as a puff ball on a keychain. And oh lordy, here she come, looking like a porcelain ball on a windmill. And my oh my, aren't those cheeks puffed up bigger than a pufferfish than I ever did see. Obviously, I made her porcelain puffed cheeks. As soft as a puffball. Let me tell you, that's what they look like right now. I'm trying to blend them in with the rest of the skin so they all look like one uniform color, because at this point I realized I had screwed up the entire skin color situation. It all looked like different colors, so the only solution was to make her look like more of a porcelain ball. She shatters easily, please be gentle. At this point, I decided, alright, everything's dried, this looks like the skin tone I really want, and that's when I start gently going in with a color that is slightly darker than the main color. And I mainly do this because I was afraid. I was gonna throw in some more dark colors and ruin it again and have to cover it up with more white and then eventually get the wrong skin color again and get more frustrated. So I went with just slightly tinted darker. And what I did to do that was to add in one of my darker browns, and with that, just a little bit of white, a little bit of that, and that was it. That was my color, and that was what I stuck with. I didn't try and mess around with it any more than I had to. Final touches around the shadows after I think that, hey, this face is pretty much done. If I touch it anymore, it'll get ruined. And there you have it. And now, time for sexy montage. This is the finished product. I added some sparklies. Ooh, aesthetic. Ooh, look at that. The shine, the shimmer, the white. Oh, is that mushrooms? Oh, is that snakes? Man, why are snakes coming out of her neck? That's a little freaking weird. Panorama. Little bit of cat hair on the side. Don't think about it. Anyway, thank you all for watching this video. You can check out more of my work on my Instagram. It's kind of the only social media I have. Other than that, thank you so much, and this video is nearly over, and I don't think I'll make it in time to say my little bit at the end. Just kidding, this video's over. Why am I still talking?